Hello everyone and welcome to Rotterdam Inside, the unofficial Eurovision talk show brought to you by ESC Daily and OGAE. Today I have with me Toby Eck from Aftonbladet, my guest for today. Toby, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's good to see you here in Rotterdam. I haven't seen you in a long time.
2 years now, and I am so happy that I'm able to be here, that we are all able to be here. It feels amazing, actually.
What have you been up to in the last 2 years?
I've been in my bed. No, I've been working since I'm a reporter with Aftonbladet. My specific what I do, I cover showbiz, but I cover breaking news within showbiz. So I'm required to be in the newsroom. So I've been lucky. I've been able to be in the office basically every day. But
and was there news in showbiz?
But yes. Because even though all the events have shut down, that is news itself. What is going on within the artist industry and the music industry? How are they getting help? And there are always celebrities that are getting divorced and getting married, all through a pandemic. So there's always news to cover. And of course, I do cover Melodifestivalen, the Swedish pre-selections. Really extensively, and there is all through the year I try to get the inside gossip on who's in, who's out, what's going on. So yeah. There's been plenty of work.
And Melodifestivalen, of course, happened last year, happened this year again.
And that for itself was, of course, big news for us to try to understand, will they be able to do it? How will they do it? Will it be the same way? And of course, in Sweden, it's normally a tour where Melodifestivalen goes to 6 cities with big arena shows. But this year it was just in one venue with no audience present. So all that was, of
really
course,
different festival.
Definitely. But still 6 of the most viewed TV shows throughout the year. So even though you have that a little bit of that feeling of it's not really like it normally is, it was still there, and they put on rather good shows without the audience as well. So it was good.
Is that the same feeling you have now being here in Rotterdam?
A little bit, but with the audience during the dress rehearsal last night, you got that amazing feeling of, wow, this is really how it normally is. But at the same time, to see the audience, even though in my brain knows that they've been tested, they are allowed to sit there. It's an experiment. It's for science. Because of this year, I got that awkward feeling, oh my God, they're so close to each other and they don't have face masks. I had to first live through the awkwardness of, aren't they a bit too close? And can they really sit like that? And is this really okay? I had to just convince myself that, okay, come on, let go of that. Because yes, they have been tested. They are clear to go. And when I had come through that, I really got the feeling of, thank God Eurovision is on again, and this shows the world that these types of events are not gone. They can happen again.
Yeah, and I think we're all ready for that feeling again. Not just us Eurovision fans, but the people from Ahoy and the city of Rotterdam too. So let's take a quick look at that.
Very much welcome to Rotterdam. Usually the sun shines here all the time, but
almost all the time.
Unfortunately today it's raining. We would very much have liked to receive you here in our city and show you around. But since it isn't possible, we take you on a big stroll around our center of Rotterdam. As you can see here, we dress the city all from the central station to Ahoy with flags from recycled materials, and it's made from all the flags of all the participating countries, printed with the songs of the winning songs over the past years. It's really everywhere, and so the whole city can enjoy the song contest. What you see here is a real fashion statement, the Rotterdam translation of the official branding in our own Rotterdam style. And here you see all kinds of fashion designers that designed clothes with the colors and with the flags of all the participating countries. A few people passed when I was waiting here and I heard their comment. I don't think they're going to wear it.
We're here in front of where the magic is happening, and in our 50th anniversary we're so happy that this biggest TV show on earth we are able to host in the city, in our venue, in Ahoy. Yeah, so there are working spaces. Everything is on 1.5 meters, so we had much more space for everybody than in normal time, normal years. Everything will be cleaned regular, etc., etc. And yeah, as you see now, the first ones found their desk and installed themselves. You can choose your own desk, so to say. So you see here a number. So when you choose this desk, you go to the to the press desk, and you give this number. So then this is your desk on a personal basis, so to say. Yeah, for us, all these kind of things, it's so energizing in seeing this. We prepared so long with the teams from the city and from Hilversum and the Ahoy team, hoping to have to be able to give everybody a happy time.
We developed a cookbook with all the recipes from the participating countries in it and some nice spots in Rotterdam to see. And Dudok developed a specially Eurovision Song Contest cake. The profits are going to a good cause.
I would say open up.
I will. Ta-da!
Eurovision is finally here in Rotterdam. Toby, have you been able to see something of Rotterdam yet?
Very little. Since we all try to avoid as much contact as possible, but I've been walking around. I've been walking from Ahoy back to my hotel, which is an 1.5 hour walk, a couple of nights. So I've of course seen the cube houses and just walked a little bit in the streets. It's been nice.
How does it rate compared to other Eurovision cities that you've been to?
That's so hard to say because of the pandemic, it's very, very quiet. You know, when you walk in the streets and you go like, there's no people here. But then I realized, of course, it's because of the pandemic.
It has to be like that. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to say. But Saturday night, I walked through one of the main streets downtown where there were bars and outdoor terraces, and it felt very. It felt like Rotterdam is coming back to life again. And that was very reassuring, and I really like that.
Good to see that. What about Ahoy? Because of course you've been there a lot of the time.
That's basically where I spend my time.
Yeah, we all know.
I would say that it really fares well as a Eurovision arena, but it doesn't have too much to do with Ahoy. It has much more to do with the Dutch organization and how it's all sorted. Everything works really, really well. I am impressed. Even so impressed that I was so impressed with the first dress rehearsal yesterday. I was like, Jesus Christ, there are no mistakes. And then the mistakes, of course, came during the second dress rehearsal. And that was also a little bit of a relief, because you want the mistakes to be done during dress rehearsals and not during the broadcast. But everything, you know, with the testing, with how things are organized inside the press center and in the arena, everything is sorted and done, and I'm really impressed. But I also expected that from the Dutch organization, which I perhaps did not when it came to Tel Aviv, Portugal, Azerbaijan. But with the Dutch, I've been expecting it, and you guys have lived up to my expectations.
Thanks for your trust. Let's take because it has allowed you, all of that organization, to do your job as we've all been able to do our jobs that way. And your job is, of course, here most of all to follow the Swedish delegation, right?
Partly, absolutely. But for me and Aftonbladet, compared to other Swedish newspapers, we do cover Eurovision. We cover
as a whole
the event. We cover the artists. We cover as much as possible because we know that our readers are, of course, mostly interested in the Swedish artist, but also the whole event and the other competing artists and what's going on. But yes, absolutely.
So let's dig into that Eurovision Song Contest and your country at the Eurovision Song Contest, because over the past few years, it's something that I know we've discussed at ESC Daily a lot as well. It seems as though the gap for Sweden between your jury vote and your televote is almost widening every year. How do you explain that? Has Sweden lost touch with the European televoters?
Well, this is a topic that's very common within the Eurovision community. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the statistics, Sweden has been top 10 in the televotes every year except one during the last 10 years. It was only with Benjamin Ingrosso in Portugal that we weren't top 10. Yes. Most of the years we've been a little bit higher in the jury votes than with the televotes, but not a lot. And a couple of years we've been higher in the televote than in the jury vote. But I do understand what you're going for, and especially because there are within the Eurovision community, since it is a discrepancy between the televote and the Eurovote, even though it's not as big as the fans want it to be or claims it to be, there might of course be a little bit of a worry, and that comes for me as being a Eurovision fan as well. I am starting to wonder what should Sweden do to actually take that back, to become the fan favorites again.
Yeah, and we set the bar high for Sweden at Eurovision. That's something that you guys have earned over the past few years with a lot of top results, with 2 victories in a time frame where most countries got 1 or 0. So when we set the bar that high, can you answer your own question? What should Sweden do to, close that gap a little bit?
Well, I can say what Sweden at least are doing right now that might cause this. When choosing songs for Melodifestivalen, the pre-selection, I think that Sweden the last couple of years have gone for the safe bets, and instead of going for a little bit more of the craziness, SVT has looked at, okay, so what has been hits the last couple of years, not in Eurovision, but what has been hits around the world or in Europe and Sweden and the US, and then they've asked songwriters to come on, give us get us a weekend song, or get us a Swedish version of Despacito, and those types of songs has entered Melfest, meaning that they are rather successful in Sweden. They do become hits, but they also feel a little bit like, okay, this is a safe bet. This is something
clinical, maybe.
I wouldn't say that, because adding the artist onto this, you get the emotional part of it as well. But it might get, and it's not really dated either. But it's nothing new. It is a very safe bet, and that safe bet will most likely appeal to the professional juries that go like, this is something that I know. This is the type of music that has been successful the last year. But within the televoters, it might not be the song that you get that gut feeling when you watch those 3 minutes during the broadcast. It might be a nice song, but it's not that wow, yes.
Is that something that's related to the team and to obviously the face of the SVT team, Christer Björkman, as well? That strategy for safe songs?
It might be. I spoke to Christer just a couple of days ago, and he admitted that when it comes to Melfest, and since he is now resigning and going into to do the American Song Contest instead, he said that he is And I asked him if he was full, as in, he had eaten everything that has to do with Melodifestivalen. And he said, yeah, I don't feel that I can do anything more. And when you have that feeling, you, of course, won't go into changing and
push
getting
further,
exactly. And he had that feeling now. And I think that feeling has kind of followed him for a couple of years. Unfortunately, I am afraid that feeling of contentness, oh, this is rather good, instead of trying to push, that feeling has also spread within the people taking over from Christer, because those people are not new. They've been working with Melfest the last 5 years. So we don't have a totally new crew coming in next year. It is the same people that Christer and others have taught, and they followed in that. And I worry that they might be content too. They might be, oh, this is okay, and then Sweden will be in that's dire for Sweden. It's not that will make our results in Eurovision go down really, really low.
It's those same people that will take over from Christer Björkman, as Toby said, and it's those same people, of course, with Christer still on board, that selected Tusse this year.
So yeah, we had a tour, a really secure, COVID secured tour, where we saw the cube houses and we saw like some things from Rotterdam, and it was amazing.
Very good.
Yeah.
On a more serious note, I read about you that you recently had some surgery, which had to do with your voice. Can you tell us what happened?
So after the Melfest, after I won, my voice was a little bit injured, and I had to see a doctor for it. And it wasn't about my vocal cords. So it was another thing in my throat, which he did surgery on, and now I've rested from the surgery, and I'm back, and I'm ready to go.
How serious was it?
It wasn't serious at all. It was just I don't know the name for in English. I think tonsils. I think they were inflammatory. What do you call it? Inflamed. So it wasn't at all serious. It was a routine procedure, so everything was good. I was kind of nervous at first, but the doctor said nothing to worry about. I'll just cut them in. I'll just take a bit of them off, and then you'll be good. And he did as he said. He took a bit of them off, and now I'm good. So that was.
So how do you feel now?
Nerve-wracking. I feel great now. So we're good. There was a time where I was like, how is gonna go? Am I going to lose my voice? But it was all just in my head. So I'm back, and I'm great.
So what has it been like for you dealing with all these insecurities? Because of course you have COVID, not knowing how the Eurovision Song Contest is going to take place, and then you also had your own surgery, which you didn't know maybe how fast you would recover from that. How do you deal with those insecurities?
So I think I was really nervous, and I was worried, and I was like, is Eurovision even gonna be is it gonna be possible? And because of COVID, maybe the Eurovision will be canceled. But I also tried to focus on other things. I was like, okay, so I'm going to graduate high school this year, so I have to do my homework and I have to do my school work. So I think I went deeper in my school work, and I focused on those kind of things, so I could stop worry about the Eurovision and the voice and everything. Because everything, because it wasn't in my power to change, so I was just waiting for the doctor. So in the meantime, I was focusing on school, so that I wouldn't be, I think I would have gotten mad if I was to think about it.
And now you are here at the Eurovision Song Contest. How have you experienced the first week with all these rehearsals?
So I've had a lot of fun. It's been fun to hang out with the dancers and the team from Sweden, and seeing the big stage for the first time was really amazing. And then we had to rehearse to get the performance to be exactly how we pictured it. And yesterday on the rehearsals, I think we did just that. So I'm really I'm really excited that we finally, what do you say, we nailed it.
I think you're... there you are again, yeah. So the performance is now finally all the way you want it to be. Is there a lot of pressure on you? Because Sweden, of course, is a country that always gets these great results in Eurovision.
I know, so there's a lot of pressure, of course. And I've been thinking about that because it's all about the contestants Sweden has sent before because they've been awesome. I mean, Loreen, Måns, everybody, John Lundvik, they're all awesome. And I love them all. But, you know, that it's not about them and it's not about me. This is about the song and it's about the message behind the song. I'm here to represent that everybody's voice should matter and everybody's voice should be heard, and that we all in this together, and that nobody should feel alone. So I think for me, it's about the message, and it's about showing people that love can take you so far, and love can make you more happy than hatred. So I think it's about the message. It's not about the score result, the betting list, the odds, the competition. It's about the love.
All right. Well, Tusse, this year's Swedish entrant for the Eurovision Song Contest. First of all, let's take a step back. Do you think that Sweden made the right call not going with the same artist as last year, which was something that a lot of countries did in this COVID situation?
Definitely. And the reason for that is that Eurovision is big in Sweden, but Melodifestivalen is huge.
Yes.
And with that, had we said we're canceling Melodifestivalen, that would have ruined winter for a lot of Swedes. Oh, no, for real. Because Sweden in February and March is dark, wet and depressing. Having Melodifestivalen each Saturday being the TV show that basically gets everybody to watch, and it's fun, it's upbeat. That gets us through the winter. And believe me, have you not been in Sweden in February, you cannot imagine how it is. And this is a joke, but it is also the truth. And that is the reason why Melfest is so successful. So for us, for SVT, there was never a choice to go with the same artist. And I do think that most countries that have gone with the same artist this year has not upped their game. The exception might be Lithuania, but on the other hand, the RUP had to compete for their victory this year as well. So I'm yes, we should absolutely have done it the way we did. Tusse is the main favorite in Sweden. He got such a high victory, so we have the right artist here. Even though I might think that we had other contenders in Melfest with stagings and songs that might have done better here, but that was not the Swedish audience choice, and it was such a clear win, and that makes it obvious for us that Tusse is here.
So now, how do you rate the Swedish entry? Not as it's no longer in Melodifestivalen. It had done that and won that already. Now it's here. You made already the distinction between something that is a good Melodifestivalen song and now something that's a good Eurovision song. Is this a potentially successful entry for Sweden again?
Okay, let's try to be diplomatic. I've never been diplomatic in my whole life.
Don't start now.
Me and my colleagues have spent the last week preparing the Swedish audience back home, our readers, on this. This is not to let them know this is not a contender for victory. We might have thought so a month ago, but it isn't any longer, and that's very obvious. And I get a lot of angry emails from our readers saying, "Why are you writing shit about Tusse?" And I'm trying to explain to them, I'm not bad-mouthing him. I'm telling you how it is in Rotterdam, what the polls say, what people say. I don't think that Tusse is a contender for victory. And we also must remember that in Sweden, a 10th place is not a good position.
It's that bar that we were just talking about. The bar is set high.
The Swedish audience are expecting a top 5 position, and everything else is not a good result. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And right now, I hope, and I think, and I'm trying to, I'm saying that, yeah, we might do top 10, but we might very well not. And according to the betting companies, we're out of top 10 as well. So we're trying to prepare the Swedish audience for that, but their expectations are, of course, really, really high. And
is he going to break the pattern that we've just discussed, even though you don't really think it's that much of a pattern? But do you think this is more for televoters or more for juries?
I do think it's more for the juries. It's a song in the way that I explained Melfest. This is I'm quite sure that it was almost commissioned as the weekend song type, and then Tusse was added into the equation, and it got a little bit more of funk and soul into it, because that is what suits him. Mm-hmm. But it is the type of song that has been on the charts the last year, and I think that will appeal to the juries, but I think it might be tougher for the televoters, and especially in the semi-final, because coming after in Sweden, we felt that Tusse had such a strong message, and that's such a big part of our choice in selecting him. But coming after Russia and Manisha's very in-your-face message about Russian women, and how she wants to empower them. Yeah. Tusse's message is much less obvious after that, and you don't get that same feeling. And with that, I think that
is that the main reason that you would argue it might it might not be a top 10 potentially.
In the semi, that is what I think he loses out on. Mm-hmm. But for the final,
you have a new running order.
It's a new running order, but also, I would say that it's a really strong year this year. There are really a lot of songs that are contenders. There are no clear favorite. There are 5 or 6 songs that are kind of in the running to win it. And with that, Sweden fades away a bit, because normally there's 1 or 2 that you really talk about. But this year, when it's 5 or 6, the ones that are not those 5 or 6 are not even mentioned, and that's a part with Tusse. But also, I think that he's had problems with his voice. He had to do a partial tonsil operation a couple of weeks ago, and this happened right after the Melfest final, that he basically lost his voice, and you can notice that. And in Eurovision, and especially amongst the televoters, having a perfect pitch is really important. Also, I think that they haven't really succeeded in the staging. I think it's all right. I think it's...
But it's not telling the message as strongly as you may have wanted to?
Yeah. At least what was presented in Melfest, where we felt the message got out strongly, it doesn't go out as strong here in the Eurovision. And it might have to do with the other artists, because Tusse, compared to the other artists in Melfest, had his message really he could bring it out, but here it drowns. And I can't say what it is, but others do it better.
Others do it better. Let's take a quick look at some of those other contenders in this first semi-final. We saw Russia, Cyprus, Ukraine, Malta, a couple of the favorites in this semi-final. What do you think could win this semi-final? What are the strongest competitors that Sweden's going up against?
During the jury rehearsal, I would say that for me, Cyprus and Ukraine stood out. Cyprus, perhaps because I hadn't expected it to stand out that much, because I think the song is so much of a Lady Gaga ripoff. But her performance and being one of a lot of female artists with 4 dancers, she ups the notch a little bit more than the others, and she really makes that performance believable. And Ukraine stands out so much, being extremely modern and at the same time very ethno, very Ukraine, but at the same time appealing to a larger audience. I think it's extraordinary, that song, and how they perform it, even though she had technical issues last night and had to redo her performance. I thought the first one was fine enough. I think she would have won she could have won the jury vote even on that, but then she did it again, and then it was flawless. Don't miss out on Malta.
Ah, yes, of course, yes.
Malta has got. I think that the Maltese song is much stronger than the Cypriotic song, but I am afraid that Destiny doesn't. There's something in the performance that it feels a little bit bland. It's a little bit like, okay, we've seen this, and with the strong message that she has, also empowering women, you don't get that. It's not in the performance enough.
Then again, she does have all the qualities that juries tend to look for in the past couple of years. She has the vocals, she has the talent show background, she has this personality on the
lovable,
stage.
Absolutely.
So that could be an easy jury winner for me. I have one question for you, because you mentioned Ukraine. I love Ukraine, and I favor it to be a televote favorite. Don't you think it might be too ethnic for juries? Because it's also a little bit... it's a bit love or hate. Let's put it that.
And with that I think that's a pity, because I think you are right. And the juries have within their they're supposed to look for originality, but for instance, Soldi fared much better with the televotes than the juries last year, or 2 years ago, and that was also a very original song. So you might very well be right that originality might be something that the televoters values higher than the juries who should look for it.
I agree with you there.
But on the other hand, this is originality with quality. So was Soldi, of course. But the televoters might also go for, the funny, the kind of jokey entries that juries won't go for. And juries will absolutely not rule out Ukraine because of that.
It is a technically very difficult song to sing, and she did it very well. She did it twice, actually, last year, and last night, excuse me, and that was because of the technical errors in the jury performances. So we spoke to Sietse Bakker, because it happened with 4 songs last night, which was quite a bit.
When artists came back from the stage, they reported to our technical crew that they had a slight delay on their in-ear, which is of course not ideal to perform. So after consultation with our audio team, it was decided that they could perform again. Of course, it's a rehearsal, so these things can happen and will be looked into. But because the jury decides tonight's results, it was deemed fair by the EBU that they would be given another chance.
3 performances in which these problems occurred. What will the team now do to make sure that this doesn't happen tomorrow when it's not a rehearsal?
Well, that's of course our key priority. So they will look into this now and probably tomorrow morning to make sure this doesn't happen during the live.
Toby, you had a lot of faith in the Dutch organization. You mentioned it at the beginning. Do you have faith they'll fix these issues before tonight?
I hope so. Because I was so surprised. The thing is, Tusse had the same problem, but during the first dress rehearsal yesterday.
In the afternoon.
In the afternoon, and the Swedish delegation raised the alarm for this. So I was quite sure that they would have checked it throughout every performance. But no, they sorted it out for the Swedish delegation. But then 4 others were really hardly affected. And the thing is, when it comes to the in-ear, this is basic sound engineering. This is something that should have been sorted during first and second rehearsal. This should not be an issue during a dress rehearsal. And if it is, it should be during the first dress rehearsal. So it made me rather worried last night when we knew about this. But these are also professionals. I am convinced that they are sorting it out now, and that they have been working the night through if they had to, because they do not want a broadcast tonight where technical issues is a problem, and especially not the Dutch broadcaster. They do not want to stand out as the broadcaster who couldn't sort out the sound.
So then what can we expect for tonight's show?
It's a rather quick. The 16 songs goes on. It goes really quickly, but you should not expect to have a fun and humorous night, because the hosts are much more news anchors than trying to.
And Petra Mede.
Yes, and for me, I was rather surprised, because there were parts during the dress rehearsals when I went, why? Because if the hosts make it dull, the audience might feel that the whole competition is dull. Nikki Tutorial stands out. She is, I'd say she's the best. Do wait for her. For every time she's on, she does it really, really well, and use the other parts with Celia and the other hosts.
Did you see Chantal when she was improvising last night? Because that was actually much better when Måneskin came on. I thought, at least for Dutch people who know that children's song, it was really funny.
and especially, I think that the Dutch audience will get much more out of it than the European audience. But yes, she was good. She was also fairly good in Green Room. But I would say that wait for Nikki. Nikki does it best.
All right, so wait for Nikki tonight, and wait for Tusse and for all the other competitors in that first semi-final. We, of course, at ESC Daily will be covering that show as well, and we have another talk show episode for you tomorrow.
Done.